Welcome to the Breakaway USA show. My name is Gentry Gevers. Joining us today is the one, the only, the mastermind of finding people who have died suddenly, Vance Murphy. If you don't follow Vance Murphy on Twitter X, he's a fantastic follow. Somehow, this guy has been able to post consistently about people who have taken the poke and then people who have either passed away or have had adverse reactions. And he has aggregated an incredible amount of data, an incredible amount of instances of adverse reactions to this bioweapon that has become so normalized in society. I found Vance as I was trolling through Governor Jay Inslee's Twitter accounts, and I found Vance, and he was posting some similar stuff that I was. I was like, I'm going to throw this guy a follow, and we were about the same size at that point. And then he has since blown up. I think he's got upwards of 20,000 followers now on X. So, right. Vance, welcome to the show. Do you want to share a little bit about how you got so passionate about this subject and how you've actually gotten so good at reporting on this?
So it started with my wife is in healthcare. That's where it started. And when they start to go, we're going to mandate this shot. We're going to mandate this for, I have friends that are firefighters. I have friends that are police officers. I have friends that are in all the fields where Inslee, because I'm from Washington, was going to try to start pushing this. And it's like something, it didn't feel right from the beginning. Even, like I'm obviously a huge Trump supporter. And at the time, it's like, I can see why you want to push it, why this needs to be a rush, because we all know, it was, in my opinion, it was all set up from the beginning. But that's neither here nor there. The vaccine, when it starts coming out, I don't remember exactly how it started, but you start seeing an obituary here or there, and it's like 7 years old, 40 years old. And it's like, no. In my personal life, people die, and people get cancer and things happen, car accidents, but something just didn't seem quite right. So I just started to dig a little bit more. And so I'd find a person, say, in my local obituary. And then next thing I know, it's like I search this person on Facebook, and it's like, I'm like, what? And then they're posting right up till the days before they die, like, not like I have cancer, not like I have something's terribly wrong with me, and then they're gone. So something is just not right. And that's how it just started to snowball, and it kept going and going. And at this point, I mean, I don't know the exact number because I don't keep track, but I have to have surpassed 1,500. I don't know how many. 2,000 would just be a guess. It's a massive number of people that I have, and I don't even search people over 60 anymore. So if you're over 60, I don't even include them because it just doesn't. It's not the same. But I feel like the message is so powerful when you see this person who's so young, they're healthy, they get the vaccine, they're pushing it on everybody else, and now they're gone. And so I try to help anybody who didn't want to take it.
Wow. So you're the way that you source this is you'll find people in obituaries and then go look them up on Facebook. And it's amazing because it seems like everybody who that you're posting has the little like thing on their Facebook that says, I took the vaccine or go get vaccinated. And then they also have some like outrageous posts and like virtue signaling that you should go take this poke.
The unvaccinated are killing us, and they're the reason for all the variants, and they're those ones have gone the most viral, and there's been a couple. I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I think you've probably seen them. There's a couple where people are like, the effing unvaccinated or whatever, all this the in there. and then they're dead. And, I don't like, I'm not trying to be to like, I'm not trying to be a ghoul about it, which everyone wants to call me that. And but it's like, I have to do this. I feel like I have to do this because and again, just to backtrack a little bit, I don't believe that the COVID vaccine was invented to depopulate the earth. I know a lot of people say that, and I don't believe that. But what I think happened is that is pushed up here in too fast, and there's such a huge. It's motivated by money. We know that. I
Hmm.
mean, that is the biggest motivator. And then you got uh, millions and millions of people that are willing to take it, and then you got all these additionals who are in limbo who are like they don't want it. And I've received messages from people in healthcare, doctors. Just yesterday, I was messaging a NP in the South, and I don't know how old she is. I'm just guessing she's mid 50s just by her picture. And she's like, I had to get tested every single day for a year or every week, I think, not every day, but every week. I think that's how they were doing that. If you were going to refuse it, and she's saying, I feel so good right now, feeling like that I was right all along, and starting to see the multiple times, and they're going, hmm, I'm still catching COVID. Number one, there's other people talking about some bizarre reactions. People. I had a friend who lost his hearing for like a day, just couldn't hear at
Whoa.
one side of his ear, and I'm like, dude, that's not normal. Something is just not
Yeah.
right. So, and so I just feel like the CDC and the FDA have done so. They're not working on behalf of the people. They're not at all. They're working on behalf of Pfizer and Moderna, and that is a huge problem when these agencies that are supposed to protect you and I, or steer us in the right direction, give us accurate information, and they're going out of their way to try to cover it up. And we know if you on social media, if you post about 2 years, it would get a label on it and probably be deboosted or hidden. I mean, the Elon Musk taking over Twitter is a huge deal that nobody talks about. But I mean, obviously people talk about it, but that's a massive deal considering that I know your Instagram post for a period of time where you post a story, and where does it end up? It's on the very right hand edge. You got to scroll through, and then there's your story right next to Candace Owens and right next to, you name it, whoever they don't want to hear from. So
Right.
it's like this is not right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like in a perfect world, the CDC and the FDA would be able to give us information, and then we would be able to go make decisions based on that. But
right,
didn't give us that opportunity. What they did is they said, "Hey, here's the information. By the way, if you go against us, you're going to be labeled a conspiracy theorist or misinformation, and
right,
you're not going to have opportunities because also we're going to go ahead and mandate this thing, and
right.
you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose friends, you're going to lose family. Like you're not going to be able to go to restaurants and go out and." Um, like basically shut down your entire life. It's just
Yep, that's what
it's
they
it,
did.
it's insane.
It's and to come full circle to back to the original question, that is why I started doing it, and that's why I'm
Mhm.
still doing it. And I still think we've seen that even the most extreme liberal people out there who are just live and die by the vaccine, because I'm sure you
Mhm.
have know them in your personal life. Taking my doctor for another booster, they're still there, but it's a much smaller percentage.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's like 10% of people are taken up on the boosters most recently. It's a low
Mhm.
percentage. So in a way, I feel like things are starting to come out, and in the back of their mind, they got to be like, so I'm still catching it all, and I'm putting myself just at more risk. I mean, they to be thinking that.
Oh, they
I
have
mean,
to
if
be.
I was any medication that I was taking and it wasn't doing what I anticipated it was going to do, and I start maybe feeling weird, I would stop immediately. So I imagine that's where they're at.
But with the vaccine, like it's not like you're taking a pill every, day or every week. It's like you take it and then it's done,
Yeah, and
right?
it's
It's a
not.
done deal. And you were telling me on the phone the other day that mortuaries are actually seeing some really interesting stuff come out of people.
I've heard that. I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that, but I have seen some people talking about it. So I, everything I've seen from that is all just secondhand. But I have seen some videos and pictures, and it's like I don't know what it looks like. I have never had to work with a dead body, but if
Hmm.
people are posting, it's a little strange.
Hmm.
Again, I the way that these people are dying though is what's so weird. They're not when I've had a few people in my life who are older. They reach the end of their life, and it's not immediate. It's the body is very very strong. The heart is very very strong, and these people are going to sleep and they don't wake up. Are at their gym on a treadmill and they just boom tip over. And I've found multiple stories like that, and you're going, this doesn't happen. I'm sure you do have the Hank Gathers of the world that have a heart defect and they're known to have XYZ wrong, and things do happen. But I just feel like this is a massive cover up, damages to the heart, the scar tissue, I think is what is causing it. It's like an arrhythmia. So the heart is just stopping on a dime. It's not a heart attack, because a heart
Hmm.
attack, the survival rate is, in my opinion, I don't know what the exact survival rate of heart attacks are, but it's pretty high. I know a lot of people who have had heart attacks. They survive.
Right.
They get to the hospital and they have bypass surgery or whatever. But these people are not doing that. They're just, you've seen the DeMar Hamlins, the
Yeah.
soccer players.
Yeah.
That's not a heart attack.
Yeah. And they're young people too, fit
Really
people.
young,
Yeah.
unusually young. Where, and one or two you could explain and just go, you know what? Some people are just, dealt a bad hand and they have a defect that they didn't catch or whatever, but not what we're seeing. I believe that this is just all natural. I don't know if you were. I saw yesterday. We were talking about firefighters in Washington. There was just one in Walla Walla, 41 years old, goes to sleep. And I don't know if you saw Inslee post about that. And he says,
Hmm.
died in the line of duty. Like, dude, come on. The line of duty, he went to bed and didn't wake up. That is not a line of duty death. So I almost feel like Inslee's trying to dodge it. And then that's another crazy one for, I know we're kind of biased to Washington State, but that's weird. He's
Yeah.
young, 65 years old or something.
So the story there is that Jay Inslee's brother, who is in his 60s, right,
Yes,
61, he died suddenly, and
yes.
and you actually talked to somebody who knows something. He had like a rash or something.
Uh, uh, this is, I just received a message from someone that told me that the brother went to his local doctor for some unusual rash that day, and he goes home and goes to sleep and doesn't wake up. That's it. So
Oh my gosh.
again, you think about the times in your life that you've heard of something like that happening. I have.
Hmm.
I mean, I could think of maybe one of someone just going to sleep and just not waking up,
Hmm.
and they're in their 60s. Again, and I usually, if they're heavy and they're unhealthy, go, okay, maybe. But
Yeah.
if you've ever seen, I mean, Inslee's family is, they're just relatively fit people. I don't like them, but I got to
Hmm.
give them that. They're not obese slobs, so
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
unusual.
Yeah. Well, there's a ton of stories like that, not necessarily with the bioweapon, but there's people covering up really, really big issues. One of them, and just to change gears here a little bit, one of the like huge stories that a lot of people online are covering much better than the mainstream media is this border crisis. I went and browsed some articles about this, and they have essentially said it's not a border crisis. They're calling them migrants. They're not calling them illegals. They're not calling it an invasion. They're making excuses for like all these like military age men coming through. I guess Joe Biden actually took away the DNA testing at the border. And the reason why Trump put that into place is to catch people who were trafficking, right? Saying like, oh, like I'm coming over with my kids. Well, let's do a DNA test and see if they're actually your kids. So, and it's interesting because there's even a lot of people on the left that are coming to grips with this, mostly because Abbott has started to ship people, right? He started to ship people a couple of years ago over to these major cities. And I was a little bit torn about it, but just because like I don't want these cities like Chicago and LA and New York and all these other places to become, even more crap holes than they already are. But I think it's starting to wake people up. And so it's like a bad move, but it has a good outcome.
It has been one of the most effective things you can possibly do. The Martha's Vineyard one was the most that when you send all these people and then it's like we're a sanctuary, I mean, it's illegal and what you name it, you've heard it all from the progressives and whatnot, and we're all immigrants, and then but not in our city. It's I mean there's so many countless issues that are the same way, and they want it, but they don't want it in their backyard. So when you can deliver it to their front doorstep, and all of a sudden they go, another woman, Jaya Pal, is the queen of the immigration, the way she talks about it. And I'm like, I want 1,000 immigrants delivered to her front door, and it just so they can see it. But again, like you're saying, that is one of the most effective things that we've seen any sort of Republican governor or that they do. And by I don't really like to see it because I, I like I like Americans, and I don't care what race you are, but I don't like people who come here and don't speak English, don't uh, uh, don't want the American way of life. That's what I have an issue with. And I don't care if you're Bob from England. If you're coming over here waving what, just go back. What are you doing here?
Right.
We don't want you.
Right.
And the thing about that's really unusual, I'm sure you've seen some of these videos. If you think you're coming across the southern border, you're like, what type of people would these people be? And I'm looking at them, I'm like, these are not what I would say are like Central American Hispanics. Some of them are come across and you're like, these are from different countries. I don't know where. These are not Mexicans. They're not Panamanians. They're something else. So how are they getting to Mexico? I have no idea. Somebody's paying for it, and that's the part where it feels like it's just an intentional destruction of the country. And with Biden, does he really know? No, he doesn't. Let's just be honest. He doesn't know what's going on. Around him are the ones that are orchestrating it, and they're is it for their voting block? I feel like that's the only logical explanation for intentionally letting in 10 million people because they cost a fortune. And I mean, let's face it, you let a bunch of immigrants come over that have nothing, and they can do nothing but besides be like a burden on the streets. I mean, they basically are just kind of trashing certain areas. And
Hmm.
I mean, look at what the homeless do. It's the same thing. It's not a
Yeah.
race issue. It's a financial issue. So
So, so what do you think the solution would be to then for the southern border for all this illegal immigration?
uh, the solution the solution is to remove every single Democrat from office and say, like, enforce the law. You cannot come here. I mean, not to be too gruesome about it, but if all of a sudden you come over here and you got to face some like actual firepower saying, no, don't come here, people aren't going to do it. So they're not
Right.
afraid. They're not afraid of breaking the law. They're not afraid of anything. They're not afraid of going to jail. Um, Same as, drugs in Seattle. We've seen. If you don't enforce it, nobody cares. Nobody's
Hmm.
afraid. So, I mean, we have to. Trump's like with the Trump messaging saying we need to this massive deportation operation. It's what a lot of people want to hear. I hope it's the right message for because there's a huge voting block of Hispanic Americans, and they should be conservative voters. They're very religious.
Hmm.
They're very family oriented. Why are you not getting that voting block? And if all of a sudden you got Hispanics that are voting Republican, that border is going to close tomorrow. I mean, they'll be like, "All right, no more. We can't have this." So
Right.
that's the real solution. Actually, you get all the Hispanics to vote Republican, and that border will close tonight.
Oh my gosh. I think that's actually probably a pretty good idea. I like that idea a
It's
lot.
I mean, there's a few like Maya Flores. I don't know what district she's in, but she's winning very Hispanic districts with
Good.
America First messaging. So it
Hmm.
can be done. Um, and if you come here and you want to be an American and you want to work hard and you want to continue the American way of life, then I want you here. And
Hmm.
I don't care if you're yellow, red, or black or brown. I don't care. And I
Hmm.
don't care what you believe in, but it's all just the great for the American way. And
Hmm.
so, you know, there's people who do want to come here for the right reasons and they should be able to. And all these people who cut across the border step in front of all the people who do it the right way and are and actually want to be here, not come here to destroy it. And God knows what type of people are coming through the southern border. I mean, there's I know people always talking about the sleeper cells, and that's a scary thought. Thinking you have you know thousands of people here who hate America and they're living here in our cities. I mean, that's what's so dangerous, and how the Democrats the most frustrating part. And
Hmm.
like, I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care, but you should at least want to protect the citizens of this country. And to me, this open border is the complete opposite of that.
Right. Right. Well, I think that's where the Democrats have done a terrible job in their messaging because I feel like they've almost weaponized empathy in saying, "Oh, like these people are coming over from other countries and they want to just have a good life and all this kind of stuff." But as soon as you start to prioritize the citizens, or no, I mean, as soon as you start to prioritize the illegals over the
Yeah,
citizens, that's where I have like a huge problem, and that's why like cities like Seattle, they've done it, and we're talking about homeless here, right, in Seattle, but they have prioritized the homeless problem and made it dangerous for people to live in these cities. But these people keep voting in these Democrats, right?
yeah,
In a place like Washington, we haven't had a Republican governor or um, Republican leadership in so long, and the the narratives that they're coming out with is like, oh, it's all Republicans' fault. It's all Republicans' fault. It's like, well, we haven't really even had a chance. Like, why don't we try something different? Democrats are moving out of these states. I mean, you moved out of Washington because of it. Like, how do we?
Yeah. It was kind of a mix. COVID. I feel like I'm a COVID refugee. That's why we moved out of Washington. But I still stay. I still very closely follow Washington politics. And like you're completely right. Seattle is a train wreck. You drive through there. People who don't live there, they have no idea. But you drive through it and you're like, there is trash everywhere. There is. I mean, it's just like you can't even clean up your own roads. You can't clean up your own every single off ramp, every single on ramp, you got tents, shopping carts, garbage. And it's like these people are seeking asylum. It's like, okay, well, you can't even clean up your own backyard here. And you guys are the first
Mhm.
ones to tell us that Texas and taking all these people. No, we we need to clean up our own backyard first. And Washington is just an absolute train wreck. I feel terrible for people who are
Mhm.
lifetime residents. And I know, like, I don't like the messaging of, like, we need to get away, but things have gone downhill so severely. And you go, where is this going to be in 30 years? Where is
Right.
Washington going to be better in 30 years? To raise a family? Is it going to be safer? Is it all the things that people actually care about? So how anyone can possibly elect? How does Jay Inslee get those votes from those people? It doesn't make any sense. There, it's like Seattle is the, there's a lot of people that need to open their eyes there. I don't know what it
Mhm.
takes, but something's
Mhm.
wrong.
Yeah. Well, let's uh let's switch to the national stage real quick because I've been following you for a little bit, and I saw early on that you were a big supporter of DeSantis, and then I think somewhere along the lines you switched maybe to Vivek.
Yes.
Tell me where you are now, because I'm curious because
So
I've been a Trump supporter for, I mean, since 2016 really. So he's going to get 3 of my votes, but I'm curious to hear your perspective because it looks like Trump is going to be the nominee.
yes. So Trump is going to get 3 of my votes too. If you want to include primaries, I'll continue to vote for him every single election cycle that he is the front runner, or the Republican nominee. I will vote for whoever is the Republican beginning. But my concern was, and it's hard because when you turn against Trump on social media, it creates a huge amount of backlash. And
Mm-hmm.
I said from the beginning, I'm going to support the Republican nominee, but I don't think that he is the best option going forward. My
Mm-hmm.
concern is that you have this huge voting block of middle of the road votes are just, for lack of a better word, they're just kind of weak people, weak voters. They're fence sitters. They're the Mitt Romneys of the world. And I don't know what the exact number is, but they're out there and you probably know
Mm-hmm.
them personally. And Trump is not getting those people's votes. And that is my concern. And I don't want to have to bow down and cater to those people. But I feel like a few more have a severe problem that maybe it can't come back. So that's why DeSantis. I was supporting him from before he even said he was going to run. So I'm like, this guy has done it in Florida, and he has been. And somewhere along the line, Trump kind of blows the dog whistle, and everybody's just like, oh, we're all against him. And not all of his ideas have been perfect. Not everything's been perfect, and there's no politician out. But he has been very, very effective at getting people to vote for him. And that is a huge issue for me. And so I'm willing to support who I think is going to win, and that's why I was originally for DeSantis. Then DeSantis comes out and he says he's running for president, and all of a sudden he becomes the weirdest dude in the world. I don't know. It's like, why not just be normal? All he had to do, if he would have stayed in Florida, in his like running Florida as the governor, never go to Iowa, he would have stayed further up where he was in the Iowa primary or the Iowa caucuses. That's just what I think, because he just is kind of a weird guy,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I still like him, and I would support him for president again. But he needs to fire every single person that works for that campaign, because he just, some of those things. Some days, what's the message here, man? Like, this is just weird.
No,
So
I 1,000% agree with you. I thought DeSantis could have a chance to win, and then as soon as his campaign launched, I think he got in bed with the wrong people. I think he got the wrong donors, the wrong like campaign managers, the wrong influencers online. Like
yes,
it was a train wreck
right, and
in a lot of
when
ways. And it wasn't the DeSantis that we all knew that has been a great governor.
no, it was somebody else, and that, so as soon as, like, I am not. There's a lot of people out there that will never admit they're wrong, or they will ever change positions on things. And when DeSantis comes out and starts his campaign, I'm just like, yeah, I don't think this is the guy anymore. There's something.
Hmm.
So it was pretty quick. And you listen to Vivek, and it's like, this dude has crushes everything, every interview, every question, everything. The guy is just absolute fire across the board. And that's another problem, that Trump has not been able to defend himself very well against the media. And I know it's not easy, but if you watch Trump in a press conference, he doesn't just obliterate them like he should, because our ideas
Hmm.
are better. Um, we have basically every single major political on the right side of, if you have any sort of logic whatsoever. So you should be able to just absolutely dismantle the reporters, especially some of those uh, just the bottom feeder, virtue signaling leftist reporters that are throwing out these ridiculous questions like DeSantis did during COVID. And DeSantis would smash them. I mean, it's the off the tee home run.
Hmm.
Vivek can do that. So at this point going forward, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I will support Donald Trump 110% going forward, uh, because if you want to compare the two, we're not even the same realm. Like, we have to have a change in leadership. But Trump, in my opinion, he has to pick Ramaswamy as his vice president, because that guy has everything that we need going, and he can actually stand in front of a microphone and dismantle whatever they're throwing at you.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he's a genius. The way he just articulates everything, he's perfect. So if Trump picks, I mean, what if Trump picks the Nikki Haley, or, I know that's probably not going to happen because it doesn't seem like it. What if he picks
Yeah.
somebody like that, even Tim Scott? I'm going,
Hmm.
no, this is low energy, old George W. Bush type of Republicans. We don't
Hmm.
want that.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so to me, his VP pick is a huge deal, and I hope he goes the right direction. If he picks Nikki Haley, I don't know what I'm going to do, but she is the worst thing that's ever happened. She's Mitt
Hmm.
Romney with
Hmm.
Graham in a dress.
Yeah. Yeah. I if he does pick Nikki Haley, he's going to be president for all of 2 minutes because they're going to impeach him and then they're going to try to get Nikki in. And we all know that Nikki has had a lot of Democratic donors, and so she's in the Democratic pocket. So I don't see that being a very good pick for him.
No, it's a terrible pick. And another thing, just a real quick, a little bit of a subject change. Another huge story is that reporting the people. I'm sure CNN has covered it for a total of like 0 minutes. But you have I don't know what he was. He's a Republican seat. I don't know what that guy was, but he comes to her house allegedly and tells her there are people that are willing to put their money where their mouth is, And, is there a number that gets you not to run for the Senate?
Right.
And she said, no,
Yeah.
dollars, not $20 million, not $1 billion.
Yeah.
That alone is, I mean, that's another reason why Trump and even Vivek, like, we have a serious issue of our politicians. They're paid for, and there is not a Democrat in the world that someone is coming to and saying, "Hey, I'll pay you not to run for office." No. If you're a Democrat, you are getting funded by those people, and they are coming here to tell Kerry Lake, let's pay you 10 million bucks to sit out this election. So that tells you everything you need to know where the elites are of the world.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah. It's a little crazy.
they're
So that guy, just to add a little clarity, that guy was the RNC chair for Arizona. He has since stepped down, and they're holding a like a preliminary election right now to put in a new RNC chair in Arizona, which, to be honest, could be very, very good for the America First agenda, because a lot of these like RNC apparatuses in these states have been appropriated by the big money donors, which is essentially the uniparty, right?
right. It's the
So
McCains of the world.
the McCains of the world, all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. So this has been a fantastic podcast here. I know that we said that we were going to go a half hour. We went a little bit over. You want to give your social medias a shout out so that people can find you?
Yeah, I'm on. I don't post. I don't bring the politics to Instagram and Facebook. We had talked about that on the phone. I got too many liberal family, and we've just reached a point. It's just not worth it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You lose friends, you lose family, and politics to Twitter and Vance Murphy on Twitter. I'm easy to find, and I think I'm. I think I'm the. I think it's just Vance Murphy. Pretty sure. I don't even
Vance
know.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make
Yeah.
sure to repost you. So if you follow me, you can find Vance on there. He does again a fantastic job of reporting on all of the died suddenly folks. Vance, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your perspective. We'll definitely have you on again. This is a great time.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have one last message for everybody?
One last message. Man, I mean, we gotta just get out in big, huge numbers going forward. I'm truly scared that this election is kind of it's almost the end of the line. If
Mm-hmm.
you go, if Biden can get in for another 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
um, what does the country look like after that? And
Mm-hmm.
that's just a scary thought. So I got to put everything I have behind Donald J. Trump and like I said, I'm putting the mega hat back on.
Putting the mag bag back on. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Well, everybody, thanks for listening and watching. If you've gotten to this point, make sure to follow Breakaway USA, myself, and Mr. Vance Murphy on X. Thank you, Vance, so much for joining us, and we'll end it here.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.